Start recording. Okay, nagre-record na? Sige na?
Ready na po, ma'am.
Yes, ready na.
Ito po. Good morning po, ma'am. This is our presentation and our topic is all about application design and development. Pa-next nga ako, Charles. Saan si Charles?
Full screen.
Ha?
Pa-next
Di ba
nga ako.
Ay,
Hindi
di siya nagde-next. Nine-next ko eh.
Ayan, sige.
Delay lang.
Ayan, okay na. Then yung sa ano po naman, Chapter 8, Complex Data Types. So there are many application domains that need to store more complex data than simple tables with a fixed number of attributes. So dito po, ma'am, is tinatawag po natin itong relational database design kung saan yung tables na is may fixed numbers of attributes. Tapos each attributes po nun is nagko-contain po ng atomic value, which means yung no repetition na group. Then the SQL standard includes extension of the SQL definition and query language to deal with new data types and with object orientation. This includes support for collection of valued attributes, inheritance, and QQ references. Such extension attempt to preserve the relational foundation, in particular, and the declarative access of data while extending the modeling power. So dito po, sa mas ginagamit po nila dito is yung object orientation because sa object orientation maraming database yung written sa using object oriented programming language. Example sa mga object orientation na language is yung mga Java, Python, or C++. Then semi-structured data are characterized by complex data whose schema changes often. Yung semi-structured, ito yung mga data na yung data na hindi pa captured or formatted in conventional ways. Kumbaga pa siya, hindi pa siya gaanong ayos kasi yung semi-structured data, yung schema niya nagbabago kasi depende sa event or kapag nag-add tayo ng mga attributes. Then a popular architecture for building information system today is to create a web service that allows retrieval of data and to build application code that display the data and allow user interaction. So dito, sa popular architecture, nag-build sila ng mga information system using create web service. Then yung ginagamit nila dito sa service nila is yung application code is naka-develop as mobile application or naka-written siya sa JavaScript tapos nilaran sa browser. Ito yung mga nila dito is dito papasok yung JSON, which is yung JavaScript Object Notation and XML Extensible Markup Language data models. Sila yung mga data models na ginagamit dito. Then pa-next ako, Charles.
Na-next?
Hindi.
Bakit? Wait lang. Ko stop sharing ko. Ganito na lang.
Sa yan.
Ito, next slide na to.
Yan na. Then, sa the relational data model, siya naman yung nagsusupport sa mga storage, tas sa mga data exchange. Depende sa pangangailangan ng ating modern application. Tapos isa dito sa relational model yung nakapaloob dito is yung flexible schema. Yung flexible schema, ito yung database system that allow each tuple to potentially have a different set of attributes. So yun yung flexible schema. Siya nag-aalaw ng tuple to potential para yung mga pagkakaiba ng different attributes. Kasi isa dito sa mga ng flexible schema is yung wide column data representation. Yun yung mga attributes na nakapaloob dito is hindi naka-fix. Then, meron ding sparse column data representation. Ito naman yung representation na lahat ng mga tuple attributes na yung mga kailangan lang yung tinitira niya, which is yung mga null values. Then sa many data representation allow attributes to non-atomic values. Ito yung tinatawag nating multi-value data types. So siya yung nagre-represent ng mga attributes na non-atomic value. Yung mga non-atomic value, yun yung mga yung mga composite fields na pwedeng ma-broken down sa ating database. For example, yung yung attributes natin na full name, pwede pa siyang mahati into surname, middle name, ganun.
Yeah.
Then sa many data representation allow attributes to be structured, directly modeling composite attributes in the ER model. So ito yung tinatawag din natin tong nested data types. Ito yung nag-aalaw sa attributes na maging structured. Ginagamitan din natin to ng ER model. Then for example dito sa nested data types, ito rin yung for example, yung attribute mo is name. Tapos meron pa siyang component attribute. Kumbaga yung name, meron pa siyang nasa loob nun, which is yung first name and last name. Then, for example, isa pang attribute is yung sex. Tapos sa loob ng nun, meron pa siyang male and female. Ganun. Then, the JavaScript object notation, JSON, is a textual representation of complex data types, which is widely used for transmitting data between application and storing complex data. Then, dito is yung JSON is textual representation, and widely used siya kasi yung JSON is sinusupport yung mga primitive data types. Yung mga integer, real, and string, as well as yung mga arrays and objects. Then sa XML, representation provide flexibility in the set of attributes that a record contains, as well as the types of these attributes. Yung XML is tinatawag din natin extensible markup language. Ito yung para siyang yung textual representation niya parang HTML. Meron siyang mga tags, tas mga enclosed brackets. Tas mas madali rin siyang flexible din siya kasi madali makita yung mga attributes niya doon. Then pa-next ako ng slide. Then sa the Resource Description Framework, RDF, is a data representation standard based on entity relationship model. The RDF representation has a very natural graph interpretation. Doon dito sa RDF, parang po siya. Yung RDF is nakabase siya sa ERD model natin, which is yung meron siya na tayong tinatawag dito na graph representation of RDF. Ito yung graph representation of RDF. Ito yung nagpapakita ng paano kino-connect natin yung mga natin, yung mga attribute, mga entities natin doon sa database natin. Yan sa SparkQL, ito naman yung yung query language. Ito rin yung nagre-retrieve tas nagmamanipulate ng data natin sa loob ng resource description framework. Then the object orientation provides inheritance with subtypes and subtables, as well as project tuple references. Dito sa object orientation, nagpo-provide siya ng inheritance. Tapos ina-allow yung type or yung table na ma-acquire yung property sa another type or table. Then the object relational model extends the relational data model by providing a richer type system, including collection types and object orientation. Dito naman sa relational data model. Pinag-ano siya, combination lang siya ng object orientation database model pati ng relational database. Then kaya siya naging richer type system kasi sinusupport niya yung mga object, classes, inheritance, and so on. Then dito sa Object Relational Database System, IDES, database system based on the Object Relational Model, provide a convenient migration path for user of relational database who wish to use object-oriented features. Then dito sa Object Relational Database System, isa lang siyang object-oriented features. Kumbaga siya lang yung nagdadagdag ng mga object-oriented features sa relational database system natin. Then next slide tayo. Object Relational Mapping System provide an object view of data that are stored in a relational database. Objects are transient and there is no notion of personal object identity. Objects are created on demand from relational data, and updates to objects are implemented by updating the relational data. Object relational mapping systems have been widely adopted, unlike the more limited adaptation of persistent program languages. So dito naman sa object relational data, inaalaw yung mga programmer na mag-define ng mapping between tuples in database relation and sa object programming language. Kung baga siya yung bridge sa pagitan ng relational database natin. Kung baga nakahiwalay po yung query yung SQL query sa object object na code, parang ganun po. Then sa information retrieval system are used to store and query textual data such as documents. They use a simpler data model than to database system but provide more powerful querying capabilities within the restricted model. Sa information retrieval system po, parang po siya, parang siya yung nag-i-store ng mga documents, yung parang sinusort niya and rank document based sa queries ng database. Tas next tayo, George. Queries attempt to locate documents that are of interest by specifying. For example, set ng keyword. So dito sa queries po, yung example dito is yung keyword queries. For example, yung keyword po natin is yung stock. Tapos yung pag na po natin keyword na stock, malolocate po ng document, malolocate po yung kung anong document po yun doon sa loob ng ating database. Parang ipapakita niya po. Then, isa dito is yung relevance ranking make use of several types of information such as team frequency, how important each term is to each document. Yung dito naman po sa relevance ranking, yung inano niya po dito is yung term. Kung baga dito papalabasin yung number of times na term or word na makikita doon sa loob ng text natin or documents. Tapos sa inverse document frequency, ito naman yung weight. Ibig sabihin, nag-i-indicate kung gaano ka-common yung word na ginamit natin. Kung common ba siya or rare o kung rare ba. Tapos sa popularity ranking, yun po. Lang din po yun. Based on kung gaano siya ka-popularity yung yung word na ginamit natin. Tapos dito sa spatial data management is important for many applications. Geometric and geographic data types are supported by many database systems with subtypes including points, line, string, and polygons. Region queries, nearest neighbor queries, and spatial group queries are among the commonly used type of spatial queries. So dito po sa sa spatial data, ito po importante po ito dahil ito po yung nag-i-store, indexing, and querying yung data natin basis sa spatial location. For example po nakasulat dito geometric data. Sa geometric data, ito po yung mga spatial information kung paano yung object na construct. For example, yung mga buildings, cars. Then sa geographic data naman po, itong naman yung mga such as road maps, land usage map, and so on. So, yun lang po yung chapter 8.
Sa chapter 9 naman po ay application development. Application programs that use databases as backends and interact with users have been around since the 1960s. Architecture have evolved over this period. Today, most applications use web browsers as their front end. Wait, nasa na ako? And database as their back end with application server in between. Bale, dito daw po, dati po kasi, karamihan ng application dati ay gumagamit ng database backend as backend tapos nakikipag-interact na sa mga users. Ngayon, yung mga application, nag-evolve yung architectures nila. Karaniwan ng application ngayon ay gumagamit ng web browsers para sa front-end tapos database naman para sa back-end. HTML provides the ability to define interfaces that combines hyperlinks with forms facilities. Web browsers communicate with web servers by HTTP protocol. Web servers can pass on requests to application programs and return the result to the browser. Web servers execute application programs to implement desired functionalities. Servlets are widely used mechanism to write application programs that run as part of the web server process in order to reduce overhead. There are also many server-side scripting language that are implemented by web server and provide application program functionalities as part of the web server. There are several client-side scripting languages. JavaScript is the most widely used that provide richer user interface at the browser end. Bale, ang daw po, marami daw client-side bakit servers na sabi ko? Wait, nakaban ako. Scripting languages. Ang widely used po ay ang Java. Bale, tas ito daw po yung nagbibigay ng mas richer na client interface. Complex application usually have multi-layer architecture including modeling, implementing. Wait lang, nakaban ako. Business logic and a controller and view mechanism and to provide result and display result. They may also include a data access layer that implements an object relational mapping. Many application implements and use web server services allowing functions to be invoked over HTTP. Ayun. Jill?
JB.
Sino na next?
Si JB po.
Okay. Andiyan na si Ronalyn.
Dito na po ako, ma'am. Hello po, ma'am.
Birthday po niyan, ma'am.
Ano yon?
Birthday po niyan.
Birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you po.
Happy birthday.
18, 17, 19.
22 po,
po.
ma'am.
Ha?
22 po.
Layo
Ay,
ko,
yun.
no? Kala ko 18. Malayo na pala. O, sige. Okay, sino na next?
Si JB po.
JB. Andiyan ka ba?
Hello, ma'am.
Ayan, okay.
Techniques such as
Techniques.
techniques
Ayun.
such as
Sige.
ano to, ma'am? Techniques such as caging of various forms, including carry, result of, Caging. Caging po ba to, coach?
Caching.
Caching. Caching of
Caching,
various
cache.
forms. Caching. Including carry, result caching, and connection pooling. And parallel processing are used to improve application performance. Application developers must pay careful attention to security to prevent attacks such as SQL injection attacks and cross-site scripting attacks. Ayun nga po ma'am, yung sobrang tight din ng kailangan ding sobrang i-tight yung security kasi nga pwede rin siyang maapektuhan ng mga dito
Nang
nung mga tawag dito.
okay. May share
Wait
lang
lang
ako ha, Chris ha. Dagdagan ko lang yung sinabi mo doon sa kasi importante yung SQL injection ha. Kukunin ko lang tapos i-share ko. Para magets nyo yung image. Sample of SQL injection attack. Okay. Yan. Lea, share ko lang Okay. Tapos tuloy tayo after nun. Maganda yung topic mo Pandagdag lang to, no? So, eto po yung sample ng isang SQL injection attack, no? So, usually, ang code na ginagamit nila, union, select, ayan. Tapos, meron silang ginagamit na halimbawa mga tags, no? Ayan, kunyari, GIFs. Yung usual na ginagamit sa injection attack ay yung general, no? General na name, no? So, name mismo, yung NAME. And then, kung magtatag sila, kukunin nila yung mga password. Meron silang parang database ng collection ng password, no? Tapos i-enter nila ng i-enter, no? So ganun po yung pag-attack hanggang sa tumama sila doon sa kanilang kanilang hula, no? So submit lang ng submit kasi pagka ginamitan ng SQL injection attack, lalo na kung vulnerable yung walang wall, walang mga anti-malware, antivirus, no? Yung pang curve ng yung firewall, no? Pag wala yon, no? Kayang-kayang pasukin yan, no? So ganun yung ginagawa nila. Bali ang in essence nang huhula sila ng keyword, no? So halimbawa, yung mga usual na password lalo na sa mga administrator, password 123 o kaya yung password ginawa nilang number, no? Yung P, tapos @ tapos 55, W0, RD, ganun. So mga mga usual na password. So kaya napakahalaga, no, na pagka naggagawa kayo ng password, yung kayo lang ang nakakaalam, no? Na hindi siya lalo na dun sa mga may hawak ng database. Very important yun, no? Okay. So yun lang. Okay. So balik tayo sa inyo. Okay, at stop sharing na ako. Sige, diretso. Tagomats. Nakakaliw
G-
yung apelyido niya. No? Tagomats.
JB.
Next slide, Charles. Next slide. SQL authorization mechanism are coarse-grained and of limited value to applications that deal with large numbers of users. Today, application programs implement fine-grained level authorization dealing with a large number of application users inside the database system. Database extension to provide top-level access control and to deal with large numbers of large numbers of applications that have been developed but are not standard as yet. Protecting the privacy of data are an important task for database applications. Many countries have legal requirements on protection of certain kinds of data, such as credit information or medical data. Maraming gumagamit ng nung
Nang
nung dito. Maraming gumagamit na users.
Okay. Sige, go.
Pwede na.
Tulog po ata. Ay,
Ayun po ma'am, yung application maraming gumagamit ng users. Nakalagay po dito sa
Okay. Sige.
Continue.
Continue.
Tapos kasi yun nga po ma'am, yung pinoprotect
May problema ba yung audio niya?
nakatulog na po. Ay,
Nag-aano yung audio niya na mas maano yung feedback kaysa doon sa salita niya. Mas malakas yung feedback. Siguro nagsasalita siya, tas yung feedback ang tumutunog kaysa yung salita niya.
trapo ata cellphone yan.
Okay. So, yun yung problema niya eh. Wala ka bang yung audio jack?
wait lang po ma'am.
May mic yan eh. May mic ka diba?
Kasi yun nga po ma'am, importante din yung protecting the privacy of data are important task for database application.
Okay. Agree naman ako doon sa iyo. Wala naman akong problema doon. Joke lang. Kasi nasta ka na dyan eh. Sige, moving on.
Diba?
Next slide na.
Hindi po ma'am,
Di ba pala? Sige.
encryption plays a key role in protecting information authentication of users and websites. Symmetric key encryption and public key encryption are two contrasting but widely approaches to encryption. Di ko kasi mabasa. Encryption of certain sensitive data stored in database is a legal requirement in many countries and states. Encryption also plays a key role in authentication of users of to application of websites to users and for digital signature.
Masaya dito sa amin. May birthday sa kabilang ano. Naririnig niyo ba yung ano?
Opo, ma'am.
Napapasayaw nga po ako, ma'am.
Ako nga rin napapaano yung ulo ko yun. Okay, big data na.
Dito naman po tayo, ma'am, support for big data analytics.
Okay.
Chapter 10, Big Data. Modern data management application often need to deal with the data that are not necessarily in relational form. And this application also needs to deal with volumes of data that are far larger than what a single traditional organization would have generated. Big data ang tawag sa mga datasets na masyadong malaki at komplikado, kung kaya't hindi suitable para gamitin ng traditional data processing application softwares. The increasing use of data sensors leads to the connection of sensors and other computing devices embedded with the other objects to the internet, often referred to as the Internet of Things. Internet of Things naman ang tawag sa collective network ng connected device sa pamamagitan ng technology na nagiging tulay para sa pagkakaroon ng communication between devices and storage of data or cloud. There is now a wider variety of query language options for big data applications driven by the need to handle more varied of data types and by the need to scale to very large data volumes or velocity. Based on this, madami na daw pong variety of language options para sa big data applications para ma-handle ng maayos ang iba't ibang data types. Next slide po. Building data management system that can scale to large volume or velocity of data requires parallel storage and processing data. Just to add up po, parallel storage is a parallel system. Within the system, pwede tayong mag-store ng data across multiple network servers, which involves coordinated inputs and output operations. Distributed file system allows files to be stored across a number of machines while allowing access to files using a traditional file system interface. Through distributed file systems, pwede na tayong mag-store ng data sa napakaraming machines at the same time, pwede rin tayong magkaroon ng access sa mga files na gumagamit ng traditional file system interfaces. Key value storage systems allows record to be stored and retrieved based on a key and may additionally provide limited query facilities. These systems are not full-fledged database system and they are sometimes called NoSQL systems.
No SQL. Yeah.
A telephone directory is a good example of key value storage systems where the key is the one person or business name and the value is the phone number. Parallel and distributed databases provide a traditional database interface but They store data across multiple machines and they perform query processing in parallel across multiple machines. Both parallel and distributed databases ay ginagagamit upon dealing with traditional database interfaces. Next na po. Si Sales po.
Sino na next?
Si Sales na po, ma'am.
Sales.
Okay
Iseg.
po. The MapReduce paradigm models a common situation in parallel processing where some processing identified by the map function is applied to each of a large number of input records and then some of the aggregation identified the reduce function is applied to the result of the map function. In some places, the MapReduce application used to making item proposal mechanisms for e-commerce inventories, examining website records, buy history, user interaction logs, and etc. Um, ang Hadoop system ay nagbibigay naman ng malawakang ginagamit na open source na pagpapatupad ng MapReduce sa wikang Java. There are a large number of applications that use the MapReduce paradigm for data processing of various kinds whose logic can easily expressed using SQL. Mayroong malaking bilang ng mga application na gumagamit ng paradigm MapReduce para mas madaling maproseso yung data sa iba't ibang uri ng paggamit ng SQL. Next slide. Relational algebra forms the foundation of relational query processing. Based dito, binubuo ng relational algebra ang pundasyon ng pagproseso ng relational na query na nagpapahintulot na sa pagmumodelo upang mapadali yung operasyon. Sa ideyang ito, pinapalawak siguro nito yung komplikadong uri ng data sa pamamagitan ng pagsuporta ng mga algebraic operator na maaaring gumana sa mga dataset na naglalaman ng mga talaan na may komplikadong uri ng data. There are many applications where queries need to be executed continuously on data that arrive in a continuous fashion. The term streaming data refers to data that arrive in excuse me. Many domains need to process incoming data in real time. Marami ring mga application kung saan ang mga query ay kailangang isagawa ng tuloy-tuloy sa data upang tuloy-tuloy din na gumana o yung mapagana yung proseso nito. Ang terminong streaming ay tumutukoy sa data na dumarating sa tuloy-tuloy na paraan or like processing. Maraming mga domain na application ang kailangan magproseso ng pagpapasok ng data sa real time. Ang mga graph ay isang mahalagang uri ng data na kailangang harapin ng mga database. Next po si Bad.
Po, multiple po. So yes, let's proceed to chapter 11. The chapter 11 So the term data analytics refers broadly to the processing of data to infer patterns or models for the result of analytics are then used to drive business decision. Yung result po ng analytics po is ay ginagamit para ng mga decision sa business or business related. So, data analytics system analyze online data collected by transaction processing systems along with data collected from other sources to help people make business decisions. Decision support system comes in various forms including all-up systems and data mining systems. So data warehouses help gather and archive important operational data. Ang mga warehouses po ay ginagamit for decision support and analysis on historical data. For instance, to predict trends. Data cleansing from input data sources is often a major task in data warehousing. Warehouse schemas tend to be multidimensional, involving one or a few very large fact tables and several much smaller dimension tables. Next slide, please. Online analytical processing or OLAP tool help analysis view data summarized in different ways so that they can gain insights into the functioning of an organization. Ang mga OLAP tools ay tumutulong sa mga analysis para makita ang data sa iba't ibang perspective to gain insights into the functioning of an organization. OLAP tools work on multidimensional data characterized by dimension attributes and measure attributes. The data cube consists of multidimensional data summarized in different ways. Pre-computing the data cube helps speed up queries on summarized data. Mas mapapadali po ang queries on summarized of data through the help of data cube. Mas organized po ang siya tingnan. Cross-tab display permits users to view two dimensions of multidimensional data at a time along with summaries of data. So ang mga operations po na ginagamit po sa all up tools is drill down, roll up slicing. Yun po. Next report.
So, the SQL standard provides a variety of operators for data analysis, including cube, rollup, and pivot operations. These are the operators that helps us to manipulate the data. Data mining is the process of semi-automatically analyzing large databases to find useful patterns. There are a number of ap- applications of data mining, such as prediction of values based on past examples, finding of association between purchases, and automatic clustering of people and movies. It turns the raw data into a useful information that use statistics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Next. Classification deals with predicting the class of test instances by using attributes of the test instances. Based on attributes of training instances and the actual class of training instances, there are several types of classifiers, such as decision tree classifiers, which perform classification by constructing a tree based on training instances with leaves having class labels. Bay- uh, Bayesian, Bayesian classifiers, which are based on probability theory. The support vector machine is another widely used classification technique. Neural networks, and in particular deep learning, has been very used to classify and related tasks in the context of vision, speech recognition, and language understanding and translation. Next. Association roots identify the items that occur frequently, for instance, items that tend to be bought by the same customer. Correlations look for deviation from expected levels of association. Other types of data mining include clustering and text mining. To sum up, the data analysis is the process to analyze raw data and make conclusions about the informations.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Right. Good, good. So, idagdag ko lang yung mga data analysis tool. Nandyan yung Power Edge kay Microsoft. Yung Business Object kay SAP. Yun yung mga brand ng data analysis. Tapos merong mga minor katulad ng ClickView. Nagamit ko na yun, no? Etong Excel, may pang data analysis yan, ano? Pag titingnan nyo yung Excel, pag meron kayong data, magbukas lang ako ng Excel. Dinagdagan ko lang, no? Yun lang yung pagdagdag natin. Kalang. Excel. Okay. So, i-share ko lang yung Excel. Anda yung sharing ko. Entire screen. May simpleng ano lang si Excel ng ano no, sharing. Bukas tayo ng isa. So halimbawa meron na tayong data dito. 1 2 1 2 3. Tapos 4 5. Bigyan natin yan dito. Hanggang dito. Dito pa lang, meron na siyang pang-analyze, no? So, highlight nyo lang siya. Bawa yan hanggang dyan. View. The view. No. Ano yan? Ayan, conditional formatting. So, pwedeng gumamit kayo ng scheme, pwedeng may highlight. Ayan. So, pwedeng may arrow. Pwede natin yung data bars. Okay. So, nakita nyo, meron na siyang interpretation. No? So, pang sinasabi lang niya kung ano yung for, no? So, pataas. Yung sinasabi kong ano. Simpleng analysis lang dito kay Excel. Yung kay ClickView, share ko lang yung kay ClickView. ClickView interface. So, ito yung si ClickView. Ginagamit to na pang-analyze. Ayan. So, ito yung sample. So, you have a database. Say, for example, anong naka-assign sa inyong database? Group 6?
Postgre po.
Postgre po.
Okay, so si Postgre, nasa background siya, no? Nakadikit halimbawa si ClickView kay Postgre. Pinipick up niya ngayon yung data, depende sa... So, meron ka munang parang katulad nung kay ano, no? Kay access, no? Pipiliin mo kung ano yung gusto mong palabasin, no? So, halimbawa, ito, no? So, meron na siya ngayong interpretation dependent kung ano yung napalabas, no? Most likely, ang gusto nyong makita, yung profit margin, ayan, average order, comparison ng 2009 to 2010 na sales. So, ito, lahat ng data na to na pick up to sa database, halimbawa kay Postgre. And then, parang may template, pipilapan mo lang yung template doon sa ClickView halimbawa. And then, maglalagay na siya ng analysis, no? Base doon sa na-pick up niyang data. So, ito yung mga sample nung data analysis tool. Usually, idinidikit sila sa database para ma-interpret yung data na meron sa database, no? Okay, so yun lang. Sige, thank you. Paanuhin ko na si Group 6.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Alright,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. Magagawa na ako ng bago dahil ito ay mag-e-expire na. Okay, sige, go na kayo.
Ma'am, as
Thank
lang
you, ma'am.
po.
Ano yon? May nagtanong?
As lang po sa attendance, ano pong ilalagay pong tab?
Yung reporting ng summaries.
Sige po. Thank you po.
Okay, sige.
Thank you po.
Alright.
Can you po mag-send ng attendance sa GC po?
Sa GC. Nakalagay sa GC yung link. Hanapin niyo lang.
Sige po, thank you po.
Alright. Tapos, maglagawa na ako ng bago. New meeting. Start meeting. Instant. Copy. Paste. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday! May birthday kasi dito. Masaya. Nasa
Kaya,
yung
ma'am,
mga
birthday po.
grupo nyo. May birthday dito sa amin. Sa
Happy
kapitbahay.
birthday, ma'am.
Hindi. Sa kapitbahay, hindi ako.
Sorry, ma'am. Malak tayo po eh.
Okay. Sino pa hinihintay natin? Nandiyan na si Angelica at saka si Mark.
Ma'am, group 5 po ako.
Group 5 ka. Hindi. Ano tayo? Group 1 tayo. Group 1.
Nood lang ako, ma'am.
Sige, nood ka muna dyan.
Sige po, ma'am.
Angelica, ikaw ba'y group 1?
Opo, ma'am.
Sino ang ating tatawagin? Sulat mo dyan at i-ano natin. I-post natin. Chat mo.
Easy po.
Sa yung members ng group 1, i-type mo sa chat. Tapos i-ano ko dito, i-call ko dito sa GC. Right. So, okay na tayo doon. Tapusin natin yan. Sakto. Yes. Meron na tayong theory. Next na lang is application. Noong tatlo. Ayan na yung isa. Si John Paul. John Paul, group 1 ka?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Sino pa ang iniintay natin sa group 1? Ito si Daisy. Member ba si Daisy? Na kanino yung PowerPoint? So, wala sa inyong tatlo? Okay.
Ma'am, nasa akin po.
Sa'yo? Okay. Sige, ilan pa hinihintay natin? Tatlo na kayo?
Hoy, kulit.
Tatlo pa po kami ka-group, ma'am.
Okay, may tatlo pa. Sige, magpo-post ako dito.
Ma'am, yung hindi po magre-report sa amin, ano po, Huwag niyo po, ay, di po recorded sa kanila, ma'am. Huwag niyo silang bigyan ng lead. Kasi po may iba po akong group na hindi tumutulong sa amin eh.
Sabihin mo sa akin kung sino yung hindi tumutulong na yan at may ano yan.
Sige po,
May
ma'am.
bawi sa kanila yan.
Huwag niyong babawiin. Dadagdagan niyo. Huwag mong kamutin. Mamaya magsugat na naman yan.
Okay, nag-post na ako.
Huwag mong kamutin.
Pwede na tayong magsimula. Eto ba si Patricia kasama? Si Lumanog kasama sa inyo? Angelica?
Opo po, ma'am.
Okay, so 4 na. Simulan na natin. 4 na. Majority na yan.
Giniginaw ang ma'am niyo.
Malamig eh.
Bago nag-electric pan pa rin.
Group 1. Submit natin to sa Ina Francisco. Okay. Nawala. Nag-admit ka na. Naputol. Okay. Sulat natin para hindi na... Si Mark ang hindi dito, no? Mark, hindi ka kasama dito, no?
Opo, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes po.
Okay. Angelica Kalingo JP Comediero Daisy
Sinasabi na sa'yo.
Jimenez
Huwag mong kamutin.
Salina Joy Francisco Patricia Luis Dumanog. Okay, go. Start na tayo. Okay.
Kita na po, ma'am.
Yes, kita na.
Hindi mo pinalubutan na mabuti ito. Ang kati-kati.
Kita na po yung PowerPoint, ma'am.
Yes, kita na. Ito na yan, makatest. Kailangan mo nang ipapalibot dito. Wala tong palibot.
Yan nangangamot yung isa niya.
Kita na. Start na. Sige na.
Apo, ma'am. Start na po.
Good afternoon po, ma'am. Kami po yung group 1.
Good day, everyone. Let's proceed. We were our topic about, next mo, Comediero. About storage management. Storage management refers to the software and process that improve the performance of data storage resources. It may include, hindi ko makita yung highlight. Teka lang ha. Sorry po, ma'am. Include network, virtualization, replication, mirroring, security, compression. The application, traffic analysis process, automation of storage, provisioning, and memory management. Tapos, storage management make it possible to reassign storage capacity quickly as business needs change. Storage management techniques can be applied to primary backup or archive storage. Primary for use in disaster recovery and archive storage holds and outdated or seldom used data that must be retained for compliance or business continually. Storage provisioning is management technique that assigns storage capacity to serve computers, virtual machines, and other devices. It may use automation to allocate storage space in network environment. Intelligent storage management uses software policies and algorithms to automate the provisioning and de-provisioning of storage resources, continuously monitoring data utilization and rebalancing data placement without human intervention. So that's all for management storage. And next, physical storage system. It provides many uses to the users as it provides great flexibility to the users. It helps in keeping all the important records at a synchronized place with loads of data security. It helps in keeping a check on all the records and also helps in maintaining a check on the number of users who have access to the data. Effective storage management can lead to lower costs because operations are more efficient, storage resources are better utilized, security risks are lower, and compliance is easier to achieve, helping avoid costly penalties. And next, and that's all for storage. Ano? Storage data. Ano ba? Physical storage system.
Okay. Ikaw talaga. Tsaka nga. Okay, next. Paki-edit nga yung ano, data storage.
Strange.
Paki-edit.
Wait lang po, ma'am.
Ayan. Storage. Yan. Nako, buti naman. Sige, go.
A data structure is specialized format for organizing, processing, retrieving, and storing data. There are several basic and advanced types of data structures, all designed to arrange data to suit a specific purpose. Data structures make it easy for users to access and work with the data they need appropriate ways. Most importantly, data structures frame the organize of information so that machines and humans can be better understand it. In computer science and computer programming, a data structure may be selected or designed to store data for the purposes of using it with various algorithms. In some cases, the algorithm's basic operations are tightly coupled to the data structure's design. Each data structure contains information about the data values, relationship between the data, and in some cases, function that can be applied to the data.
Index. A transaction is a unit of program that access and possibility update various data. Number one, read A equals a negative 50, write A, read B, B equals B plus B, write B. Next.
Next na po.
Opo. Atomic requirements is the transaction falls after step 3 and before step 6. Money will be loose leading to an innocent database state future failure could be due software or hardware. Durability requirements once the user has been notified that transaction has complete transferred of the $50 has taken the updates database by the transaction. Next. Installation requirements is between step 3 and 6 of funds transfers transaction. In another transaction, TU allowed to access fertility update database. It will see an innocent database. The sum A plus B will be less than it should be. Next. This is example of T1 and T2. Read A dot equal A negative V. Number 3, write A. Print A plus B. Read B. Read dot equal B plus B. Write B. Next. This is part of transaction state. Active, permitted committed, failed, abandoned. Next po. Ay, hindi na po ako niyan.
Query. When you create aggregate queries, certain logical principles apply. For example, you cannot display contents of individual rows in a summary query. The query and the view designer helps you comply with the principles in the way the diagram pane and criteria pane behave. By understanding the principles of aggregate queries and the query and the view designer's behavior, you can create logically correct aggregate queries. The overriding principle is that aggregate queries can result only in summary information. Thus, most of the principles that follow describe the ways that you can reference individual data columns with aggregate query. Querying is the process of asking questions of a database in order to retrieve specific information. Yung query po ma'am is nangyayari gamit yung SQL which is siya yung specialized language na for communicating with database. Tapos po yung example po ng mga commands to communicate in SQL is select, where, group by, and order by. Ginagamit po yan para sa specification para mabalik po yung sorted items na nire-request mo sa database. Next na po, query processing.
Query processing is the activity performed in extracting data from the database. In query processing, it takes various steps for fetching the data from database. The steps involve are parsing, translation, optimization, and evaluation. Parsing and translation is the first step in query processing is the parser, just like a parsers in compilers, checks the syntax of the query, whether the relation mentioned are present in the database or not. A high-level query language such as SQL is suitable for human use, but it is totally unsuitable to system internal representation, therefore translation is required. The optimization A SQL query can be written in many different ways. An optimized query also depends on how the data is stored in the file organization. A query can also have different corresponding relational algebra expressions. The evaluation is a systematic step-by-step execution of primitive operations for fetching data from database is termed a evaluation plan. Different evaluation plans for a particular query have different query costs. The cost may include the number of disk accesses, CPU time for execution of the query, time of communication in the case of distributed databases. The query processing works in the following way. Next slide po. As query processing includes certain activity for data retrieval, initially the given user queries get translated into high-level database languages such as SQL. It gets translated into expressions that can be further used at the physical level of the file system. After this, the actual evaluation of the queries and a variety of a query optimizing transformation take place. Thus, before processing a query, a computer system needs to translate the query into a human readable and understandable language. Consequently, SQL or structured query language is the best suitable choice for humans, but is not perfectly suitable for the internal representation of the query to the system. Relational algebra is well suited for the internal representation of a query.
That's all po, ma'am.
And that's all po for Group 1 presentation. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. So as you can see, na cover na natin yung mga yan, ginagamit na natin yung query, nag-index na rin tayo, no? Ayan. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Group 1.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, may online po tayo sa Thursday.
Meron kayong face-to-face, ano?
Meron po ako.
Ayan, so mag-a-async na lang muna tayo. Kasi plano ko sana magde-demo tayo ng tatlo, no? Yung tatlong requirement na magiging kasama nung inyong final presentation. So, magagawa nila ako ng activity para sa Thursday.
Sige po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, sige.
Thank you,
Chat
ma'am.
na po ako sa'yo.
Oo, nakita ko na.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you po.
Sige, moving on tayo sa next na group. Right. Okay, Mark. Anong group mo? Group 5? Maya ka pa?
Oo, ma'am.
Group 2 next. Ayan. Lagyan na natin ang ano. Group 2. Pasok na. Okay. Tay lang tayo. Next is group 2. Group 2. Sino yung members ng group 2? Okay. Habang tayo nag-iintay, sagutin ko yung aking mga chat. Really? What happened? Teka. Check ko. Ayan. View all, admit all. Aha! Ira, kayo na ba? Ira. Alexandra. Daniela. Okay, sige. Ilan pa inintay natin? Wala. Admit.
You wait. Apparently there's going to be delivered today from Shopee.
Okay.
This is for 170.89 or something.
Okay.
I got 170.50 here.
Okay,
But this is
so
one
this
from
is
Shopee.
different from the one you don't
Lazada,
want
yeah.
to.
This is Lazada. Excuse me, Lazada.
Okay.
This is the one we'll pay for, but it's 170.89 something.
Okay.
I got the money right here. But they say it's supposed to be delivered by today, so it's January 9. I don't know. But the other one from Shopee, I don't know what the status is on that. They say it's delivered too sometime this week. 50, 60, 70. So I'll leave the money here. Again, that's from Lazada.
Okay. Okay, ready na kayo?
Yes po.
O, sige, start na. Start na.
Ika naman.
Ayan na. Okay. Sige na, start na tayo. Sound check everyone para ready tayo.
Yes po.
Sound check. Sound check, Franz. Sound check, Jason.
Namrinig po, audible.
Hello po, hello po.
Audible.
Low,
Audible
low,
si
low.
Janmela. Si...
Hello
Ah,
po.
okay. Good. Si Ann.
Hello.
Hello po.
Ayan,
Hello,
okay.
hello.
Mukhang okay na tayo. Sige, start na tayo.
Audible po.
Yes, audible.
Ayan. Ayan. Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Our topics po. First topic po is about ito po yung topics namin. Query optimization, transaction, concurrency control, and recovery system. Okay. First po mag-report ay si Peer Friends.
Okay.
Kita ba? Ay, siya na. Wala.
Hello? Rinig po ba ako?
Yes, rinig ka? Ikaw ba yung mauna, Franz?
Apo, apo, apo.
Sige, go.
Query optimization, the process of finding a good strategy for processing query is called query optimization. Query optimization is of great importance for the performance of a relational database, especially for the execution of complex SQL statements. A query optimizer decides the best method for implementing each query. The query optimizer selects, for instance, whether or not to use indexes for a given query, and which join methods to use when joining multiple tables. This is the various principles of query optimization are as follows. Number one, understand how your database is executing your query. The first phase of query optimization is understanding what the database is performing. Different databases have different commands for this. For example, in MySQL, one can use the explain keyword to see the query plan. In Oracle, one can use the explain plan to see the query plan. Number two, retrieve as little data as possible. The more information restored from the query, the more resource the database is required to expand the process and save these records.
Asan
Number
yun?
three, store immediate results. Sometimes logic for a query can be quite complex. It is possible to produce the desired outcome through the use of subqueries. Inline views and union type statements. There are various query optimization strategies are as follows. Number one, use index. Using an index is the first strategy one should use to speed up a query. Number two, aggregate table. It can be used to pre-populating tables at higher levels so less amount of information is required to be parsed. Number three, vertical partitioning. It can be used to partition the table by columns. Number four, horizontal partitioning. It can be used to partition the table by data value most often time. This method reduces the amount of information as SQL required to process. Number five, denormalization. The process of denormalization combines multiple tables into a single table. This speeds up a query implementation because fewer table joins are required. Number six is server tuning. Each server has its parameter and provides tuning server parameters so that it can completely take benefit of the hardware resources that can significantly speed up query implementation. This this plate has many concentric circles on it called tracks. Every track is further divided into sectors. A sector on a hard disk is typically stored in 512 bytes of data. The evaluation of complex queries involves many access to this. Next, next Ira. There are a number of equivalent rules that we can use to transform an expression to into an equivalent. We use this rule to generate systematically all expression equivalent to the given query. Next, each relational algebra expression represents particular sequence of operation. The first step in selecting a query processing strategy is to find a relational algebra expression that is equivalent to the given expression and estimated to cost less to execute. Next, database system may store statistics for each relation R. These statistics include the number of tuples in the relation R, the size of a record of relation R in bytes, the number of distinct values that appear in the relation R for a particular attribute. Next, most database systems use histogram to store the number of values for an attribute within each of several ranges of values. Histograms are often used computing sampling. Next, this stati- this statistic allows us to estimate the size of the result of various operations, as well as the cost of executing the operation. Statistical information about relation is particularly useful when several indices are available to assist in the processing of a query. The presence of these structures has significant influence on the choice of a query processing strategy. Next, alternate evaluation plan for each expression can be generated by equivalence rules, and the cheapest plan across all expressions can be chosen. Several optimization techniques are available to reduce the number of alternative expression and plans that need to be generated. Next, we use a heuristic to reduce the number of plans considered and thereby reduce the cost of implementation. Of heuristic rules for heuristic optimization transform the expression tree by using a set of rules, which improve the performance. These rules are as follows. Number one, perform the selection, process formers in the query. Number two, perform all the projection as soon as achievable in the query. Number three, perform the most restrictive joins and selected selection operation. Some systems use only heuristic and the other combine heuristic with partial cost-based optimization. Next, materialized view can be used to speed up query processing. Incremental view maintenance is needed to efficiently update materialized view when the underlying relations are modified. The differential of an operation can be computed by means of algebraic expression involving differential of the inputs of the operation. Other issues related to materialized view include how to do optimize queries by making use of available materialized views and how to select views to be materialized. Next, a number of advanced optimization techniques have been proposed, such as stop K optimization, join minimization, optimization of updates, multi-query optimization, and parametric query optimization.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Guevara. And next po is transactions. Um, si ano po, Kanuday and Heart. Thank you.
Transaction. A transaction is a unit of program execution that access and possibly updates various data items. Sa transaction daw po is dito makikita yung pagbabago ng data during transaction na nangyayari sa database. Lahat ng failure na transaction ay hindi nagiging result sa pagiging inconsistent ng database. Then sa transaction is required to have a ACID, which is atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Next, Ira. Atomicity is, sa atomicity naman daw po, lahat ng effects na nangyayari during or after transaction is nagre-reflect sa database. Kapag nag-fail yung transaction, hindi pwedeng maiwan yung database na partially executed. Next. Consistency naman po is minimake sure na nasa consistent state muna yung database during the execution of the transaction. Next, Ira. Sa isolation naman po dito is every transaction na nagaganap is need na hiwa-hiwalay po para ma-make sure na nawala itong kasabay during the transaction. Sa durability naman po is yung durability ng isang database na hindi mawala yung updates during the transaction kahit na mag-failure yung database.
Concurrent execution of transactions improves throughput of transactions and system utilization and also reduces the waiting time of transaction. The various types of storage in a computer are volatile storage, non-volatile storage, and stable storage. Data in volatile storage, such as in RAM, are lost when the computer crashes. Data in non-volatile storage, such as disk, are not lost when the computer crashes but may occasionally be lost because of failures, such as disk crashes. Data in stable storage are never lost. Stable storage that must be accessible online is approximated with mirror disk or other forms of RAID, which provide redundant data storage. Offline or archival stable storage may consist of multiple tape copies of data stored in physical secure locations. When several transactions execute concurrently on the database, the consistency of data may no longer be preserved. It is therefore necessary for the system to control the interaction among the concurrent transactions. Since a transaction is a unit that preserves consistency, a serial execution of transactions guarantees that consistency is preserved. A schedule captures the key actions of transactions that affect such as read and write operations while abstracting away internal details of the execution of the transaction. We require that any schedule produced by concurrent processing of a set of transactions will have an effect equivalent to a schedule produced when these transactions are run serially in some order. A system that guarantees This property is said to ensure serializability. There are several different notions of equivalence leading to the concepts of conflict seria, serializability and view serializability. Serializability of schedules generated by concurrently executing transactions can be ensured through one of variety of mechanisms called concurrency control policies. We can test a given schedule for conflict serializability by constructing a precedence graph for the schedule and by searching for the absence of cycles in the graph. However, there are more efficient concurrency control policies of ensuring serializability. Schedules must be recoverable to make sure that if transaction A sees the effects of transaction B and B then aborts, then A also gets aborted. Schedules should schedules should preferably be cascade cascadeless so that the abort of a transaction does not result in cascading aborts of other transactions. Cascadelessness is ensured by allowing transactions only read committed data. Excuse me. The concurrency control management component of the database is responsible for handling the concurrency control policies. Techniques include slacking, timestamp ordering, and snapshot isolation. Chapter 18 describes concurrency control policies. Database systems offer isolation levels weaker than serializability to allow less restriction of recurrency and thus improved performance. This introduces a risk of inconsistency that some applications find acceptable. Ensuring correct concurrent execution in the presence of SQL update, insert, and delete operations requires additional care due to the phantom phenomenon.
Okay. Thank you so much. Next po is concurrency control. When several transactions execute concurrently in the database, the consistency of data may no longer be preserved. It is necessary for the system to control the interaction among the concurrent transactions, and this control is achieved through one of the variety of mechanisms called concurrency control schemes. Concurrency control is required for controlling concurrent execution of the operations that takes place on the database. This is managing simultaneously operations that are like barriers to prevent conflicting from each other. To ensure the serializability, we can use various concurrency control schemes. All these schemes either delay an operation or abort the transactions that issue the operations. The most common ones are locking protocols, timestamps ordering schemes, validation techniques, and multi-version schemes. A locking protocol is a set of rules that state when a transaction may lock and unlock each of the data item in the database. The two-phase locking protocol allows transaction to lock a new data item only if the transaction does not yet unlock any data item. The protocol ensures serializability but not deadlock freedom. In the absence of information concerning the manner in which data items are accessed, the two-phase locking protocol is both necessary and sufficient for ensuring serializability. The strict two-phase locking protocol permits release of exclusive locks only at the end of transaction in order to ensure recoverability and cascadelessness of the resulting schedules. The rigorous two-phase locking protocol releases all locks only at the end of the transaction. Various locking protocols do not guard against deadlocks. One way to prevent deadlocks is to use an ordering of data items into request blocks in a sequence consistent with the ordering. Another way to prevent deadlock is to use preemption and transaction rollbacks. To control the preemption, we assign a unique timestamp to each transaction. The system uses this timestamps to decide whether a transaction should wait or roll back. The wound wait scheme is a preemptive scheme. Next, if deadlocks are not prevented, the system must deal with them by using a deadlock detection and recovery scheme. To do so, the system constructs a wait for graph. A system is a deadlock state if only if the wait for graph contains a cycle. When the deadlock detection algorithm determines that a deadlock exists, the system rolls back one or more transactions to break the deadlock. These are circumstances where it would be advantageous to group several data items and to treat them as one aggregate data item for purpose working, resulting in multiple levels of granularity. We allow data items of various sizes and we define hierarchy of data items where the small what happened? Okay. Mm. We allow data items of various sizes and define hierarchy of data items where the small items are nested with larger ones, such as hierarchy can be represented graphically as a tree. In such multi-granularity locking protocols, locks are acquired in root to leaf order. They are released in leaf to root order. Intention lock modes are used at higher levels to get better concurrency without affecting serializability. A timestamp ordering scheme ensures serializability by selecting an order in advance between every pair of transactions. A unique fixed timestamp is associated with each transaction in the system. The timestamps of the transactions determines the serializability order.
Wait lang, Ira.
Yes, ma'am.
Ira and everyone, lipat tayo sa another kasi mapuputol na to para dire-diretso. Kasi nasa pang ilang slide kayo, 33 ano. So medyo mahaba-haba pa yan. Putulin na natin, tapos diretso tayo uli, no?
Okay
Sige.
po.
Okay. Sige, alis muna tayo dito, no? Okay. Okay, Ira, set up uli. Tayin lang natin sila. Okay, looks like everybody's here. Sige, tuloy uli. Sorry for the interruption. Alam nyo naman, mapuputol tayo.
Next. Next po, si ano na, si Ballesteros po.
Okay, Ballesteros. Ken Mark. Nandiyan na ba si Ken Mark? Eto pa pala, papasok pa lang si Ken Mark. Ayan, Ken Mark. Dahil nandiyan ka na, ikaw na yung next.
This part yung validation scheme.
Yung sa Naira,
Ito, yun nasa baba.
explain ko na lang, Ira.
Okay, ikaw bahala.
So yung concurrency control daw po is na tipo sa tatlong phase. Wait lang po. Tatlong yung validation loop, concurrency control protocol. Yung una po is yung grid phase na hinahayaan po yung bawat user na mag-read muna and mag-execute ng bawat data na i-store sa isang database. And the validation phase po, yung sunod is yung chine-check po kung meron pong na-violate yung data na ibinigay dun sa may database. And yung right phase po is yung result na kung saan ay i-store na po or i-display na po yung data na ilalagay po sa database. Diyan.
Tapos sa tato.
So, ano na? Tapos na? Hindi, 35 pa lang to.
Okay, a multi-version concurrency control scheme is based on the creation of a new version of data items for each transaction that writes that item. When a read operation is issued, the system selects one of the versions to be read. A concurrency control scheme ensures that the version to be read is selected in a manner that ensures serializability by using timestamps. A read operation always succeeds. In multi-version timestamps, ordering a write operation may result in the rollback of the transaction. In multi-version, two-phase locking, write operations may result in a lock wait or possibly in deadlock. Snapshot isolation is a multi-version concurrency control protocol based on validation, which, unlike multi-version two-phase locking, does not require transactions to be declared as read-only or update. Snapshot isolation does not guarantee serializability but is nevertheless supported by many database systems. Serializable snapshot is isolation in an extension of snapshot isolation which guarantees serializability. A delete operation may be performed only if the transaction deleting the tuples has an exclusive lock on the tuple to be deleted. A transaction that inserts a new tuple into the database is given an exclusive lock on the tuple. Insertions can lead to the phantom phenomenon, in which an insertion logically conflicts with a query even though the two transactions may access net tuples in common. Such conflict cannot be detected if locking is done only on tuples accessed by the transaction. Locking is required in the data used to find the tuples in the relation. The index locking technique solves this problem by requiring locks on the certain index node. These locks ensure that all conflicting transactions conflict on the real data item rather than on a phantom. Quick levels on consistency are used in some applications where consistency of query results in not critical, and using serializability would result in query adversely affecting transactions processing. Degree 2 consistency is one such weaker level of consistency. Versus the stability is a special case of degree 2 consistency and widely used. Thank you. Ay, ito, sorry.
Finish?
Di ba po?
Okay.
Concurrency control is a challenging task for transactions that span user interactions. Applications often implement a scheme based on validations of write using versions numbers stored in tuples. This scheme provides a weak level of serializability and can be implemented at applications level without modifications to the database. Special concurrency control techniques can be developed for special data structures. Often, special techniques are applied in B plus or minus trees to allow greater concurrency. These techniques allows non-serializable access to the B plus minus tree, but they ensure that the B plus minus tree structure is correct, and they ensure that access to the database itself are serializable. Latch-free data structures are used to implement high-performance indices and other data structures in main memory database. Next po ay recovery system, which will be reported by Mr. Ballesteros and Mr. Dumdum.
Okay.
Ako na po magre-report.
Go, sorry.
Daniela. Thank you, Ira. So, recovery system. Failures in database system may be due to problems in transaction systems or disk. A computer system, like any other mechanical or electrical device, is subject to failure. There are a variety of causes of such failure, including disk crash, power failure, and software errors. In each of these cases, information concerning the database system is lost. In addition to system failures, transaction may also fail for various reasons such as violation of integrity, constraints, or deadlocks. Next po.
So, thank you, Daniela. So, a computer system, like any other mechanical or electrical devices, is subject to failure.
Wait lang.
There are...
Wait lang. Di po ba ako?
Ay, go.
Sige, ano ka na? Wait. Saglit na lang to. Wait lang po. Sorry. Okay. Recovery techniques are used to recover the data when the new state of data is lost or the entire data in the system is lost. Logs are used to keep a record of actions in a database, and these logs are used to recover the data to the database. Ayun. Ayun po. Thank you. Okay na, Doom. Ikaw na next.
So, thank you, Daniela. Take two po tayo. A computer system, like any other mechanical or electrical devices, is subject to failure. There are variety of causes of such failure, including disk rush, power failure, and software errors. In each of these cases, information concerning information concerning
Saya nyo Ano meron? Oh, may
Wait lang
mga
po.
singit-singit kasi. Ayan. Sige. Okay. Go. Tuloy nyo lang.
in addition to system
Okay. Wait lang po. Okay. Next po, ito muna. An integral part of a database system is a recovery scheme that is responsible for the detection of failures and for the restoration of the database to state that existed before the occurrence of the failure. The various types of storage in a computer are volatile storage, non-volatile storage, and stable storage. Data in volatile storage such as in RAM are lost when the computer crashes. So, data in non-volatile storage, just as these, are not lost when the computer crashes but may occasionally be lost because of the failure such as these crashes. Data in stable storage are never lost. Example for this, data in stable storage, like po yung mga nakasave sa ano natin, sa file drives. Yung mga nasave. Ayun. Next. Stable storage that must be accessible online is approximated with mirrored disk or other forms of RAID, which provide redundant data storage. Offline or archival stable storage may consist of multiple tape copies of data stored in a physical secure location. Tulad din po nito is yung mga nakalagay sa, I think, yung mga nakalagay sa mga cloud drive natin or Google Drive. Ayun. Ayun po. And then, in case of failure, the state of the database system may no longer be consistent. This is, it may not reflect the state of the world that the database is supposed to capture. To preserve consistency, we require that each transaction be atomic. It is the responsibility of the recovery scheme to ensure that atomicity and durability properly.
Actually, class, pagdating sa sa recovery ng lalo na dito sa storage, napakahalaga talaga ng atomicity. Pero, ang magaling talaga dito is yung sa system, no? Kasi, hindi ko kasi port itong system recovery eh. Ang importante dito is yung atomicity, yung connection, no? Na kahit sa temporary files naka-set up sa system, basta connected sa database, no? Dun sa temporary database, mare-recover at mare-recover pa rin yung mga data na halimbawa nawala, no? Nagkaroon halimbawa ng power failure, no? Usually nagre-reside dyan sa cache. Pansin nyo yung mga may mga company talaga na nag-specialize dun sa ganyan, no? Kasi ayos yung kanilang no? Yun yung pinaka-business nila, no? So, kahit na sabihing dinilit na, pwede pa rin nag-i-exist pa rin yun sa system, no? So, pero na yan, specialization na yan, no? Pero it deals with yung yung atomicity, ibig sabihin yung level ng ng entry ng data, no? Okay. Sige, go.
Yes. Okay. Next po, ulit si Dumdum.
In log-based SIMs, all updates are recorded on logs, which must be kept in stable storage. A transaction is considered to have committed when its last log record, which is the commit log record for the transaction, has been output to stable storage. Log records contains old values and new values for all updated data items. The new values are used to case the updates needs to be redone after a system crash. The old values are used to roll back to the updates of the transaction if the transaction averts during normal operation, as well as the rollback the updates of the transaction in case the system crash before the transaction completed. In the deferred modification scenes during the execution of transaction, all the write operation are deferred until the transaction has been completed, at which time the system uses the information on the log associated with the transaction in executing the referred writes, which referred modification. Log records do not need to contain all values of updated data items. To reduce the overhead of searching the log and redoing the transaction, we can use checkpointing techniques. Modern recovery algorithms are based on the concept of repeating history, whereby all the actions taken during normal operation, since the last completed checkpoint, are replayed during the redo pass of recovery. Repeating history restores the system state to what it was the time last log record was output to ano, to stable storage before the system crash. Undo is then performed from the states by executing an on the pass the processes log records of incomplete transaction in reverse order. Undo of an incomplete transaction writes out special read only log records and ano, an overt log record. After that, the transaction can be considered to have been completed, and it will not be undone again. Transaction processing is based on a storage model in which main memory holds on a log buffer, a database buffer, and a system buffer. The system buffer holds page of system object code and local work areas of transaction. Efficient implementation of a recovery SIMS requires that the number of writes to the database and to stable storage be minimized. Log records may be kept in volatile log before initially, but they must be written to stable storage when one of the following condition occurs. Before the TI commit, log record may be output to stable storage. All log records pertaining to the section TI must have been output to stable storage. Before a block of data in main memory is output to the database is non-volatile storage. All log records pertaining to data in block must have been output to stable storage. Remote backup system provide a high degree of availability, allowing transaction processing to continue even if primary site is destroyed by a fire, flood, or a earthquake. Data and log records from a primary sites are continually backed up to a remote backup site. If the primary site fails, the remote backup site takes over transaction processing after executing certain recovery actions. Modern recovery techniques support high concurrency locking techniques such as those used for B plus 3 concurrency control. These techniques allows early release of lower level locks obtained by operations such as inserts or deletes, which allows other such
Operation.
But and that's all for all. That's all for all, ma'am.
Okay. Uh, Next po. After low-level lock are released, physical undo is not possible and instead logical undo such as a deletion to undo or an insertion is required. Transactions retain higher level locks that ensure that concurrent transactions cannot perform actions that could make logical undo of an operation impossible. Um, Okay, to recover from failures that result in the loss of non-volatile storage, we must dump the entire contents of the database onto stable storage periodically, say once per day. If a failure occurs that results in the loss of physical database blocks, we use the most recent dump in restoring the database to a previous consistent state. Once this restoration is being accomplished, we use the log to bring the database system to the most recent consistent state. I think po dito sa part na 'to, ito yung mga ano siguro, yung mga recent na naiwan nating data. Like for example po, ano ba? Halimbawa may ginawa kayo sa isang site or database na gano'n, ta's parang biglang ano, parang biglang nag-brown out or nag-shutdown yung PC mo. Pagkabukas mo ng PC, yung data mo still nandun pa. Pwede pa siyang ma-recover. Like, halimbawa nung nasa history, ganun. The Iris Recovery Scheme is a state-of-the-art scheme that supports a number of features to provide greater concurrency, reduce logging overheads, and minimize recovery time. It is also based on repeating history and it allows logical undo operations. The scheme flashes pages on a continuous basis and does not need to flash all pages at the time of a checkpoint. It uses long sequence numbers or LSNS to implement a variety of optimizations that reduce the time taken for recovery. Ayun. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Alright, thank you. Ang ano ko dito, pagdating sa data, since data yung pinag-uusapan natin at saka yung recovery, what I remember doon sa data recovery class ko last time, no? Because we were taught to recover files that are already deleted. Ang ine-explain sa amin nung coach namin dun sa data recovery is parang ano yan, para siyang bakas or the exact term is footprint, no? Ang ibig sabihin ng footprint is halimbawa you're writing a document. Eto, nag-create kayo ng PowerPoint. You created a footprint. Saan nagpunta yung footprint nyo? Yan, ang ating PC, meron tayong tinatawag na write and ano nga yun? Save, no? Write at saka save. So, pag nag-write tayo, magsisave tayo. Whether na-save natin or hindi, basta meron tayong footprint, meaning nagsulat tayo, no? Meron na tayong pwedeng i-recover. Yun yung sabi nung professor namin doon sa data recovery. Basta meron kang footprint, ibig sabihin nagsimula ka ng magsulat, naka-set up na yan sa system. Pero it is more specialized kasi this is the atomicity, the connection between the system and the data, no? Yung pagkakaano niya, no? There are times na may mga files na unrecoverable. Yung unrecoverable files, yan yung mga nagkaroon ng problema sa drive, no? Kasi yung drive natin umiikot yan, no? Kada ikot, kada pin, meron silang pinupuntahang area para i-save yung file, no? Kung familiar kayo doon sa no, yung mga nag system and na doon sa I think yung iba sa inyo merong ganong setup sa senior high, no? Sa system and hardware, no? Now, pagdating doon sa na-damage, no? Yun lang naman yung na-damage na portion. Meaning, na-scratch na yung portion na yun. Mahirap nang ma-recover yun. Pero anything na meron kang footprint, ibig sabihin, meron kang sinulat, meron kang dinaanan, mare-recover yun. Yun ang sabi. Pero anything na pumasok doon sa nasirang part ng drive, malabo yun. Yan. Yun yung sinabi sa amin. Okay? Kaya kahit na masunog pa yung hard drive, kung hindi nasunog hindi nasira yung part na kailangan, mare-recover yun. No? And, okay. Alright. Thank you. Yun na yun. Tapos na kayo, Ira. Data recovery. Maganda yung topic nyo, ha?
Yes, ma'am. Tapos na po.
Okay. Alright.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Congratulations. We're moving on to the next group.
Ilang group pa, ma'am?
May tatlo pa eh.
Tapos, ano na po? Can you
May-
continue? Hanggang 1:30 lang po tayo, diba?
May klase ba kayo sa next na ano?
I'm not sure pa po. Di po kasi namin alam.
So,
Pero
kasi
baka
1
meron.
o'clock na eh. Pwede pa kaya ako ng isa? At least 2 na lang yung last.
Like for Thursday?
Oo. Check mo nga dun sa ano kung pwede pang yung last na ano, yung group 3.
3.
Oo. Sila na yung
Sige.
last.
Sige po.
Oo. Para
Thank you, ma'am.
Oo, sige. Okay, sige, mauna na kayo.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank
Sige,
you
ma'am.
rin.
Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kasi alauna na eh. Pwede pa atang isa.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye! One more. Okay, sige. Sige, pasok na. Okay, admit. Tabar. Nandiyan pa rin si Mark. Si Mark ano to eh, group 5 ka, diba Mark?
Yes po, ma'am.
Malayo pa. Huli kayo. Sino yung ano? Dito pa si Ira. Shh! Ingay. No! Kumaingay. Doon kayo. Maybelline. Ikaw ba'y group 3? Tabar, group 3?
Ma'am.
Opo, ma'am. Group 3 po.
Okay. Hamos, group 3?
Apo, ma'am.
Okay. Admit natin. Ano. Set up na yung ano nyo, yung PowerPoint nyo na kanina yun. Ito na si Charles. Shh, no. Kumaingay. Kumaingay. Pagalitan ka ng tatay mo. Hindi ka. Ay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, sino pa ako lang natin? Nakanina yung PowerPoint. Ayan na, nag-set up na si Reggie. Okay. Admit, se ben gusta. Okay, next week na lang si 4 at saka 5. Okay, nag-set up na sila.
Kita na, ma'am.
Yes, kita na. Announce ko na dun sa ano. Sound check muna. Sound check muna, guys. Para malaman natin yung ating mga audio kung gumagana.
Hindi ka dinig, Rich.
Hindi ako dinig.
Ayan,
Ayun,
okay
dinig
ka
na.
na.
Hello?
Okay na.
Okay na.
Okay na.
Okay.
Sige, Marinel. Ojo, Marinel. Bengusta.
Hello po.
Okay, good. Ban.
Hello po, hello po.
Okay. Charles.
Hi, ma'am.
Okay. Maybelline.
Po.
Okay. Amos. Christian. Jarel.
Ma'am, meron po.
Okay, good. Sige, start na.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, group mates. This afternoon, I will discuss the chapter 20, which is database system architecture. Let's proceed the summarization. First is centralized database system run entirely on a single computer. Database system designed for multi-user systems need to support the full set of transaction features. Such systems are usually designed as servers that accept requests from application via SQL or their own APIs. Next is parallelism. Parallelism with a small to as coarse-grained parallelism. Parallelism with a large number of processor is referred to as fine-grained parallelism. Next is transaction servers. Transaction servers have multiple processes, possibly running on multiple processors, so that these processes have access to common data, such as database buffers, system stores, such as in data shared memory. In addition to processes that handle queries, there are system processes that carry out tasks such as lock and log management and checkpointing. Access to shared memory is controlled by a mutual exclusion mechanism, which on machine-level atomic instruction or test and set or compare and swap. Data server systems supply raw data to clients. Such systems strive to minimize communication between clients and servers by changing keying data and locks at the clients. Parallel database systems use similar optimization. Parallel database system consists of multiple processes and multiple desks connected by a fast interconnection network. Speed up measures how much we can increase processing speed by increasing parallelism for a single transaction. Scale up measures how well we can handle a increase of number of transactions by increasing parallelism. Interference, skew, and startup costs act as barriers to getting ideal speed up and scale up. Components of parallel system are connected via several possible types of interconnection networks: bus, ring, mesh, hypercube, or a tree-like topology. Parallel database architectures include the shared memory, shared disk, shared netting, and hierarchical architectures. These architectures have different trade-offs of scalability versus communication speed. Modern shared memory architectures associate some memory with each processor, resulting in non-uniform memory architecture or NUMA. Since each processor has its own key, there is a problem of ensuring key coherency, that is consistency of data across the case of multiple processors. Storage area networks are a special type of local area network designed to provide fast interconnection between large banks of storage devices and multiple computers. A distributed database system is a collection of partially independent database systems that ideally share a common schema and coordinate the processing of transactions that access non-local data. Cloud
services may be provided at a variety of levels. The infrastructure as a service model provides clients with a virtual machine on which the clients install their own software. The platform as a service model provides data storage, database, and application servers in addition to virtual machines, but the client needs to install and maintain application software. The software as a service model provides that application software plus the underlying platform. Organizations using cloud services have to consider a wide variety of technical, economic, and legal issues in order to ensure the privacy and security of data and adequate performance despite the likelihood of data being stored at a remote location. That's all in chapter 20.
Chapter 21, Parallel and Distributed Storage Summary. Uy. The next po. Parallel database have gained significant commercial acceptance in past 20. Storage, a data storage indexing are two important aspects of parallel database system. Data partitioning involved the distributed of data among multiple nodes in I/O parallelism relation are partition among available disk retrieve faster. Three commonly used partitioning techniques are round robin partitioning, hash partitioning, and range partitioning. Skew is a major problem, especially with increasing degrees of parallelism. Balanced partitioning vectors using histograms and virtual nodes partitioning are among the techniques used to reduce skew. Parallel data storage system must be resilient to failure of node to ensure that data are not lost. Tuples are replicated across last two nodes and obtain the three nodes if a node fails. The tuple from the allocated.
Napuputol-putol ka. Sige, diretso.
Okay na, Maybelline?
Okay na.
Wait lang. Pa-next nga ako. Pabalik nga ako. Nandun yung ano ko eh. Yan, sige. Thank you. Parallel data storage system must be resilient to failure of nodes. To ensure that the data are not lost, node failure tuples are replicated across at least two nodes, and often three nodes. If a node fails, the tuples that is stored can still be accessed from other nodes where the tuples are replicated. Pa-next po. Indices in a parallel data storage system can be divided into two kinds, local and global. A local index is an index built on tuples stored in a particular node. The index contents are stored on the same node as the data. A global index is an index built on data stored across multiple nodes. A distributed file system stores files across a large collection of machines while giving us a single file system view to clients. As with any file system, there is a system of file names and directories which client can use to identify and access files. Clients do not need to bother about where the files are stored. Pa-next po. Web application need to store a very large number or many billions of relatively small records of size ranging from a few kilobytes to a few megabytes. A number of parallel key value storage systems were developed to meet the needs of such web application. A key value store provides a way to store or update the data, item or value with an associated key, and to retrieve the data item with a given. Thank you. Next na.
Chapter 2 tackled about parallel and distributed query processing. Naririnig niyo ako?
Dinig.
Okay, thank
Oo,
you.
narinig.
So, yung parallel processing is isa siyang exploited na database system which nag-execute siya simultaneously in different processor. And ang process nito interquery parallelism, which is executed into multiple queries. Next is the intra-query parallelism na sa single query lang siya nag-execute. Next slide po. Next, interquery parallelism is essential for transaction processing system, while intra-query parallelism is essential for speeding up long-running queries. Range partitioning sort works into two steps. So, ang ginagawa naman nito ni range partitioning, siya yung nagbabahagi o naghahati-hati ng mga query. Si parallel external sort merge, ang ginagawa niya naman, siya yung nag-aayos ng system. Wait. Siya yung nagsasama-sama ng mga data na available kay nodes. Pagkatapos, wait lang, di pa tapos. Pabalik ako. Thank you. Sunod na step naman ginagawa ni parallel, external sort merge. Si system naman yung nagme-merge ng sorted run on each nodes to get the final output. Next is si parallel, next na pala. Si parallel join algorithm, siya yung nagdi-divide ng tuples into multiple relation. Ito nga si Skew. Siya yung major problem sa database.
Bakit?
Kasi nag-i-increase po yung parallelism.
Kasi
At
yung skew kasi yan yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng entry, no? So yan yung sequence. So pagka nagkaroon ng problema yung sequence, yung partitioning nalilito rin, lalo na pagka naka-parallel. Pag sinabing parallel, magkadikit sila, no? Doing at the same time. Ganon. Yan. So yan, skew yan. Usually problema yan, lalo na pagka hindi balance yung parallelism. Baka may degree kasi, no? Una muna level ba ng naka-hierarchy or kung ano yung mauna, no? First in, first out. Depende kung ano yung sinet up sa system, no? Sige, go. Tuloy.
Next is the interoperation parallelism, which is composed of pipeline parallelism and independent parallelism. Yung pipeline parallelism is usually implemented siya using push model with buffers with two operation. Next slide po. Next is the parallel algorithm designed for shared netting architectures can be used in shared netting architecture. Ang ginagawa naman nito ni parallel algorithm, wala lang siya. Parang display lang siya sa query. Tapos yung query optimization for parallel execution can be done using the traditional resource com- consumption cost model, or using the response time cost model. Partitioning of table must be taken into account when choosing a plan to minimize data exchange, which is often a significant factor in query execution cost. That's all about chapter 22. Thank you.
Okay. Next.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Charles David A. Dos Santos, and this is Chapter 23, Parallel and Distributed Transaction Processing. So this is the example of distributed database system. So this distributed database system consists of a collection of sites or nodes, each of which maintains a local database system. Each node is able to process local transactions, those transactions that access data in only that single node. So yan po yung example ng distributed database system. So bawat site po or nodes is may kanya-kanya po silang database system and connected sa isang computer network po. So next slide. So in a distributed database system, there's things such as local transaction, which means those uh, those those that access and update data in only one local database. So the local transaction is happening only on nodes and sites. So and there is global transaction. The global transaction are those that access and update data in several local databases. So yung global transaction naman po is yun po yung transaction nagha-happen dun po sa buong network po ng database. Next slide. So,
Wait lang, wait lang. May dadagdag lang ako dito sa kasi maganda to no? Yung distributed database system, ang magandang example nito is yung mga providers ng cloud, no? Cloud na storage, no? So yung mga providers ng cloud storage, katulad ni Amazon, ni Microsoft, at pati rin ito si Google, no? So sila yung mga number one pagdating sa provider ng ng cloud storage. So imagine nyo, halimbawa, gamitin nating sample si Google, no? So pag may sinearch kayo, gusto nyo i-search ano ba tong distributed database system, no? Si Google, yung kanyang data warehouse, so sabihin natin data warehouse na lang. O sabihin natin yung data warehouse, yan yung mga sites, no? So, ang alam ko, si Google, meron siyang 6 na site kung saan naka-reside yung kanyang mga data warehouse. Kasi malaki yan no? So, meron siya dito sa Asia Pacific, meron siya sa Europe, meron siya sa US, meron siya sa Latin America, at meron siyang dalawa na naka-hidden, no? So, bakit kailangan naka-secure, no? Although lahat naman ng site na yon, hidden sila talaga lahat. Lahat sila hidden. Pero naka-announce yung iba, yung 4, no? Kasi bakit? Minsan kasi sinasabotahe yan, so yan yung naka-distribute, no? So kung halimbawa nagsa-search ka about distributed database system, pagtingin mo dun sa search, 'di ba? Milyon-milyones yung ibibigay sa yung data. Pero actually yung data na yan, pwedeng nanggagaling yan sa US, pwedeng nanggagaling sa Asia Pac, no? Tapos pag nakita niyo yung setting sa Google, 'di ba? Pag nag-i-install tayo ng Google sa natin, pini-personalize, 'di ba? So, yung personalization, kung Pilipino, minsan Tagalog. Kung halimbawa nag-install ka na doon ka sa Singapore yung site, no? So, ganun. Ganun yung nila, no? Ganun yung setting, no? So, ayan, sinasabi ko lang sa inyo, no? Kasi, para aware kayo, no? Minsan kasi kung ano yung nag-work na area sa inyo, doon kayo nakakonect. Unfortunately, nung nag-install ako ng Google, nandun ako sa nasa Australia, no? So Australia yung site ko. So ganon, no? Ganon yung output, no? Depende sa location. So naka-distribute, no? Lalo na pagka meron kayong mga global transaction, no? Meron kayong hinahanap na dito lang sa site na to, no? isi-set up nyo ngayon. Ayan. Okay? Ayan, yun lang. Sige, diretso. Mahaba pa ba yung ano nyo? Kakasya ba tayo sa 10 minutes? O magkikreate na ako ng bagong ano?
Baka
Bagong
kumasya naman.
Masha. O sige, go. Diretso.
So, this is the two types of transaction in database system. So, the transaction manager at each node manage access to local data. So, yung transaction manager is more on sa local data. And yung transaction coordinator, the one that coordinates the execution of global transaction across multiple nodes. So transaction coordinator happens on global transaction. So next slide. System failure modes. A distributed system may suffer from same type of failure that can affect a centralized system. So ang example po niyan is failure of a node, loss of message, failure of a communication link, network partition. So next slide. So commit protocol. Ba't ba kailangan yung commit protocol? It is to ensure atomicity. Next slide. So atomicity is all changes to data are performed as if they are single operation. That is, all the changes are performed, or none of them are. To simplify, also known as the all or nothing rule. So next slide. So commit protocols. Next slide. Is to ensure atomicity. All the nodes in which a transaction to be executed must agree on the final outcome of the execution T, either commits at all nodes or aborts at all nodes. To ensure this property, the transaction coordinator of T must execute a commit protocol. So the most widely used commit protocol is the two-phase commit protocol. Next slide. So this is the two-phase commit protocol. The two-phase commit protocol may lead to blocking the situation in which the fate of a transaction cannot be determined until a failed node recovers. That's where we use other commit protocol. So, yung other commit protocol po, yung example po is consensus protocol and three-phase commit protocol to reduce the risk of blocking. Pero yung famous or widely used na commit protocol po is yung two-phase, which has voting phase and decision phase. Next slide. Concurrency, control, and distributed database. The various concurrency control schemes used in a centralized system can be modified for use in a distributed environment. In the case of locking protocols, the only change that needs to be incorporated is in the way that the lock manager is implemented. So the lock manager obtains locks on the lock table whenever it needs to modify its content. So next. So centralized lock manager are vulnerable to overloading and to failure. Deadlock detection in a distributed lock manager environment requires cooperation between multiple nodes since there may be global deadlocks even when there are no local deadlocks. So, yung yung locking protocols is parang hindi po masyadong ina-advise yung centralized lock manager because vulnerable po nun sa overloading and failures. Hindi katulad po pag sa individual local database. Kung yung isa lang po yung mag-fail is isa lang po yung maglalaking protocol. So next slide. So timestamp ordering. The timestamp ordering and validation-based protocol can also be extended to work in a distributed settings. Timestamp used to order transaction need to be made globally unique. The next slide. Replication. The majority protocol can be extended by using version number to permit transaction processing to proceed even in the presence of failure. While the protocol has significant overhead, it works regardless of the type of failure. Less expensive protocols are available to deal with node failures, but they assume network partitioning does not occur. To provide high availability, a distributed database must detect failures, configure itself so that the computation may continue and recover when processor or link is repaired. The task is greatly complicated by the fact that it is hard to distinguish between network partition and node failure. Next slide. So, protocol for handling replicated data must ensure consistency of data. Linearizability is a key property that ensures that concurrent Reads and write to replicas of a single data item can be serialized. Protocols for handling replicated data include the primary copy, majority, bias, and consensus protocols. These have different trades-off in terms of cost and ability to work in the presence of failure. So next thing. So extended concurrency control protocols. So globally consistent and unique timestamp are key to extending multiversion, two-phase tracking, and snapshot isolation to a distributed set. Next slide. Replication with weak degrees of consistency. Many database systems support asynchronous replication, where updates are propagated to replicas outside the scope of the transaction that performed the update. Such facilities must be used with great care since they may result in non-serial, non-serializable, non-serializable execution. Next slide. So some of the coordinator selection. Some of the distributed algorithms require the use of coordinator. To provide high availability, the system must maintain a backup copy that is ready to assume responsibility. If the coordinator fails, another approach is to choose the new coordinator after the coordinator has failed. The algorithm that determine which node should act as a coordinator are called election algorithms. Distributed coordination services such as Zookeeper support coordinator selection in a fault-tolerant manner. Next slide. So consensus in distributed systems. So distributed consensus algorithm allow consistent update of replicas even in the presence of failure without requiring the presence of a coordinator. Coordinators may still be used efficiency, but failure of a coordinator does not affect correctness of the protocol. PAHOS and RAF are widely used consensus protocols. Replicated state machines, which are implemented using consensus algorithms, can be used to build a variety of fault-tolerant services. So, yun nga po, pag yung database system is nag-failed, kasi nga po yung database, yung distributed database system is magkakahiwalay po siya and meron silang central. Kaya mahalaga po yung yun nga po yung consensus para lahat po ng database is nag-agree sa isa't isa. Kaya kumbaga yung coordinators mas pinakamahalaga po itong consensus and distributed system. Yan lang.
Yeah. Good. So, okay na?
Yes po, ma'am. Thank you.
Good job! O, di ba? Natapos natin yung group 3. Okay, yun lamang. Salamat po ng marami today. You may now move on to your next activities. Okay,
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Don't forget to fill up the
Thank you, ma'am.
attendance, ha? Yan.
Yes po, ma'am.
Alright. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you.